Respected organizers and my dear colleagues, so we'll have a discussion regarding the cloud computing and the overall scenario that we start from a very basic concept and how it can lead to the major application and what are its possible application areas. We will talk about the concept. As I've given the title of this topic is that is the market oriented cloud computing and big data applications. Why I've taken the term market oriented? Because the cloud computing is having a very large number of applications in the business, in the finance, in the marketing, in the retail, and especially when we talk about the big data applications, as its name implies, big data means huge amount of data is being generated. So the major problem with the big data application like that, when we talk about a smart city, when we talk about the collection of data from the various sources, the major problem was that where we have to store the data. With the evolution of the cloud computing, whatever the big data is being generated by the various applications, now it is feasible to store the data corresponding to those applications. Similarly, these are the interrelated technologies. One another very common technology nowadays is the Internet of Things. IoT sensors also collect the data, and this data becomes huge data. So that data also requires storage, and that storage is being provided by the cloud computing. Now remember, it is not only the storage, cloud computing also provide the processing capabilities which were not even possible with the help of the supercomputer. So we start with the concept of that is the market oriented, that is the cloud computing is market oriented, and especially it plays a very effective role for the management of big data applications. So what exactly is the cloud computing? We start with the, you can say, concept that how the big data or cloud computing plays the role. If we talk about a simple computing, what we generally do, we will buy the hardware like that. If I have to purchase a desktop, I'll purchase a desktop, then I'll purchase the various type of operating system, whatever I want to keep on desktop. Let's assume I want to keep a Windows operating system. Then whatever the various softwares I want to keep like that, I want to keep their Photoshop, MS Office, or any kind of programming languages, all those software I have to purchase. So the overall cost increases. That is the cost in of hardware as well as the cost of the various system software installed on my computer, as well as the cost involved for the various application software installed on my computer. Second problem with the simple computing, that is you can say what I'm naming it as a classical computing. We have all the system ourselves, we have to configure, we have to test, we have to verify, and it will highly costly. We'll go for the original software. Even if I want to install a Oracle database, I have to pay the 5 lakh or the 10 lakh, which is very high for the normal user. That is why the piracy is on a very higher side. Moreover, if I'll talk about the utilization of whatever the computer I have purchased, utilization is not so high. You all people may have your own laptop, or the you will try to find out the utilization of laptop is not even up to the 5%. 5% का मीनिंग है अगर आप effectively आपके पास पिछले जो है, let's assume from the last 2 years you are having a desktop that becomes nearly approximately, you can say, 750 days or 700 days. Effective utilization will not be more than 30 days. So what we all know that the computer, if it has been kept just even without work for a 1 year, its performance degrade. So that means we are unnecessarily spending a higher amount of money, even we are not utilizing that computer up to the effective manner. For that solution, that solution is termed as a cloud computing. Cloud computing means we have to subscribe a service. Now you will surprise, subscribing a service Even you can subscribe a computer from any cloud service provider. Computer subscription means basically the subscription of the virtual machine, which will provide you the RAM, which will provide you the network resources, which will provide you the main memory, which will provide you the various kind of the softwares, and you are free from all the kind of headache. We all people are working faculties, and we know that when we are seeing finding that one file has been corrupted, another time we are finding another file has been corrupted. This is because we are using a pirated software. And we cannot afford the legal software because those are very costly, especially on the personal computer. But cloud computing provides an environment where not only the computing power or the computers are being provided to the on the rental basis, but also the very, very highly expensive softwares are also provided to the end user on the rental basis, and you have to pay very, very nominal for that. Even you can get a computing power of any super computing. And you will surprise that nowadays we are having a virtual machines. Virtual machines are basically the machines existing on the cloud side infrastructure, which provides you as a computer, which are being provided you as a computer. We are having a virtual machine with the main memory or the RAM equivalent to the 3.75 terabyte of memory. Even simple desktop does not have such a capacity of the hard. But if we want to have a virtual machine, we can have an extra large instance with the RAM capacity of 3.75 terabyte, which is very, very higher. Now you can understand that how faster are the cloud computing, you can say computers or the virtual machine. So if I'll come to the basic definition, that is, since cloud service provider means the people or the organization which is providing the services to the end user. Servicing meaning that is, we are providing a virtual machine, we are being provided a software, we are being provided a CPU, we are being provided a memory. So that means those should be provided to the end user through the internet connect. So remember, internet is the backbone of thing where hardware resources, that is CPU, memory, any kind of software, any kind of information that are provided to the computers and other devices on demand to the end user, like that the electricity grid. Why we are comparing it with the electricity grid or telephone? Because cloud computing is a utility based computing. We all people know the amount of unit we will spend for the electricity, we have to pay for that. Similarly, in the cloud computing, the amount of time utilizing the processing the virtual machine, we have to pay only for that. When we are not utilizing the virtual machine, those resources are being freed up and cloud will not charge anything from you. So that means cloud computing is an internet-based computing where all the hardware resources along with software and information are being end user on demand, like that the electricity and the telephonic connection, and user has to pay only for what the user has used. Now we know that cloud general term is a term, and it is used to a new cloud based computing that takes place over the internet. Very simple. Cloud, which is a new class of network based computing that takes place over the internet. That is mean service is being provided over the internet connection. And that's the reason, if you will try to see why our government and why the people always say that they want to have a 1G internet connectivity, then they shifted to the 2G internet connectivity, then they had a 3G connectivity, then we have a 4G connectivity, now we have a LTE connections. Even we are moving towards a, you can say, 5G connectivity. Why? Because we always want to have a good internet speed. Good internet speed is the major requirement of any cloud computing. Because if the people start using cloud computing in an effective way, even the 5G computing speed will not be sufficient to the end user. So, because one thing more has to be kept in mind when we talk about a 4G, 5G technologies, it is always there. When we are keeping stationary or our device is stationary, the speed comes out to be much higher. What when our device is moving, the speed is comparatively on a lower side. So with the 4G technology, we are getting a speed of you can say 10 gigabits per second or the 100 gigabits per second. What when we are in a mobile, when we are in a moving position or our device is moving, we get a speed even more than the 100 Mbps or cannot have a speed more than the 1 gigabit per second if we are getting a 100 gigabit of the speed at the stationary place. As I said, it is utility based computing. It is a collection of integrated and network, which is basically termed as a platform. Because what I'm saying, why I'm saying it is a platform, as we will go ahead, will because this is an environment on which you can even design the application, use it for the software development. So that is why we are saying it as a platform. Even there are certain ready-made applications, you can use those applications. What we are saying here we will use the internet for communication and transport, and all the kinds of services are related to the from the cloud. It may be the hardware related services, it may be software related services, even it may be the network related services. Now a new term has been given which is termed as a anything as a service on the cloud. What the major merit? This is a very important point. This is because as I'll move ahead, I'll discuss about that. Cloud computing is not a new technology. What this is a technology which has been emerged from the cluster computing and the grid computing. But neither the cluster nor the grid got so much popularity as the cloud computing has got, because in or cluster major problem was the management. No standard internet was major advantage of the cloud computing. That is all the resources in terms of the software, in terms of the hardware, in terms of the platform, they are being managed by the, you can say, cloud service provider. End user will get the services through a very simple API interface, that is termed as application programming interface. The user will be given a simple, you can say, GUI interface where the user will enter the value, and the user is not worried about the complexity what is happening at the cloud service provider. And that is why the cloud services are getting too much popular, because whatever the complexity is in the system, that has to be managed by the cloud service provider, and user will get the services directly based on the application programming interface. Now, simple, if I'll talk about, that is, these are the cloud computing, the on-demand services. Those are available anywhere, always, at any. Simple example I'll talk about like that. We all people knows we can access Gmail at any place. Gmail is another application of the cloud, because we are storing a lot of data there on the Gmail. You have seen that Gmail is further divided up into the different applications. In India, each user is being given a 15 gigabytes of the Gmail. Now, or you can use it for the Google Drive, where you can keep the Google Photos, or you can keep any kind of the storage. That is 15 gigabyte of, you can say, storage is being provided to the end user free of cost. Similarly, another cloud service providers are there. We have a OneDrive, we have a Dropbox, we have a iCloud from Apple. So there are the various types of the storage provided by the different cloud service provider. We have a, you can say, a mobile phone. Then our mobile got corrupted, so we lost all of the contents. What now it is not happening. What you are doing, you are synchronizing your mobile contents or mobile data with your Gmail account, so that Whenever if your mobile got corrupted, you are purchasing a new mobile, you just log in using your Gmail account on a new mobile and ask for the synchronization, all the contents, all the data, whatever was on your earlier phone, those will be recovered. This is one of the classic example of the cloud computing. Now, one thing is here, that is, it is a elastic computing. We use the two, one is the scalability, another is the elastic. One or the same thing. Scalability means as the demand for the number of resources will increase, automatically the resources are being allocated to the end user. Let's assume I've created a virtual machine on any cloud service provider with a 2 gigabyte of RAM. But later on, I'm finding it difficult to run any application and I want to have a 10 gigabyte of RAM. I can scale up my RAM during the runtime itself. Not only the RAM, I can increase the computing power. That is termed as the scalability. Why we use the elastic term? Reverse can happen. Let's assume I'm using a 16 gigabyte of the RAM. What I'm finding that now I do not require a 16 gigabyte of RAM. Instead, I require a 2 gigabyte of RAM. So I can release the 14 gigabyte of RAM back to the cloud service provider. So the hardware and software services are available to whom? It is available to the general public, it is available to the various enterprise, it is available to various corporate, it is various available to various business markets. So cloud computing is basically an umbrella term used to refer to the internet-based computing for development and services of the various applications. A number of defines cloud data like that. Remotely hosted. Remotely hosted means all the services or data hosted on a remote infrastructure which the user is aware. Where exactly we are keeping our data. Ubiquitous will be available from anywhere. Just let's assume I'm having an account in the Google Drive. I'm sitting at Dharamshala or I'm sitting at Chennai or I'm sitting at Delhi. No problem. I just log in using my account and I can access the data there. So it is accessible. Ubiquitous means it is accessible from anywhere. Then third party, the commodified. Commodified means the result is a utility computing model similar to the gas or the electricity. That is the amount of usage you will do. You have to pay only for that. You are not using any resource. You have not to pay for that. So it is a search on the cloud computing, and we have found that in the cloud computing side, that generally cloud computing, there were the three technologies. Earlier, first of all, we were came around the grid computing. Grid computing is basically a collection of heterogeneous computers. Heterogeneous means different types of the computer having a different operating system, different technologies. All those devices are being connected, and those will be presented as a one network. That network is termed as a grid. This term has been derived from the electricity grid, and the computing power of all the interconnected devices are being utilized for the general public. Such kind of grids have been designed throughout the world, and the different computers had been connected. What the major problem with the grid computing was the management. What kind of softwares are required, how those grids computing power, how those you can RAM, all those should be managed. That was a major problem in the grid computing. And in the cluster computing, we have a heterogeneous, homogeneous computer, means same type of computers. In the grid computing, the computers are geographically very, very far away. But in the cluster computing, all the computers are at a same place, placed in a rack, having a same type of computer. The job is being submitted to the master node. The node job, the distribute the job to the slave nodes. But again, the utilization of the cluster computing was not up to the higher level. Moreover, you can say management or the interface for the, you can say resource management was poor in the cluster computing. So keeping all those things in the mind, that what we have done, we were there that when we searched the cloud computing technologies, we found that not only India, but 10 top regions, that is India, Singapore, Hong Kong, we have found that cloud computing, which is being represented in or is getting too much popularity with respect to the grid computing. We have seen the different 10 top countries cloud computing are being employed. On the Indian side, if I see the various cities of the India, even then we are finding that the various cities, the cloud computing technology is getting the momentum. English language, it is getting the momentum in all kind of the languages, whether it's English, Indonesian, Dutch, even in the regional. Cloud computing is evolving as a, you can say, effective platform. This graph compares the three technologies. We go back to the 2005. In the 2005, grid computing was a popular mechanism and cloud computing was not so effective term. Although data was a, you can say, effective technology in the 2005, what the major problem that we do not have a resources for the processing of big data. We do not have a resources for the storage of big data. What in 2000, you can say 8 onwards, the cloud computing start emerging and it start rising sharply. You can see the orange shape or orange color curve, and you'll find that approximately between you can say 9 to 13, the cloud computing was at the peak, and when it starts maturing, automatically when the cloud computing start maturing, the as I mentioned in the beginning of lecture, big data applications also get more popular because now the big data applications are having a storage for the having a storage on the cloud for its data, also having a processing capabilities on the cloud for processing the data. So that means the cloud computing is not only moving in a one direction, but it is also giving a complement to the another technologies. And you have listened a lot about the big data applications. You have listened a lot about the data mining. You have listened a lot about the Internet of Things. You have listened about machine learning. All those technologies are getting momentum or boost due to the cloud computing technologies. And you'll surprise that most of the global IT companies, they are spending a lot of money on the cloud computing data center. So here, this is a, you can see a lot of companies like that: Cisco, Dell, EMC, Fujitsu, Parallels, and you'll find a lot of either they are having their own cloud-based solution. If they do not have a cloud-based solution, they are getting a cloud-based solution from the major three cloud service provider. I'll tell you, in terms of the cloud service provider, the first number comes for the Amazon cloud service provider. Amazon is a cloud service provider which provides the, you can say, infrastructure on the rental basis to the end user. So Amazon is providing a, you can say, its resources to the various company listed here. The second most popular cloud service provider is the Microsoft Azure. Microsoft Azure is the cloud service from the Microsoft side, which is being provided to the end user. As I'll move ahead, basically we have a three types of cloud service providers, three types of the services, that is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and you can say software as a service. What I'll not distinguish here, simply I'm saying that major three. First one is the Microsoft, you can say Amazon Web Service Provider. Second is the Microsoft Azure, and third is the Google Cloud. And along with that, the fourth cloud service provider, which is getting into the race along with these three, that is the IBM Watson Cloud. So these all are the companies, either they have their own cloud-based applications or they are utilizing the cloud services of the, as I named, the standard three cloud service providers. If I talk about the cloud applications, so we have a, not only, as I mentioned, I started my concept that cloud is having a lot of business application because money always plays a very, very important role. Always the technology which is helpful for the business purposes always have a more scope of getting the rise. But not only it is having a business application, it is having a lot of scientific and technological application. It is having a lot of application related to the consumer social application. Here on the business application side, we can see on the e-commerce side, we can have a web stores. Cloud can be used for the hosting of the website. Cloud can provide a efficient search capabilities. And on the accounting side, it can provide the various kind of the shipping softwares. It can provide a various kind of the financial services, inventory services, payroll, purchasing kind of the system. While on the CRM side, that is a customer relation management side, it can provide a, you can say, automation. It can provide a marketing campaign. It can provide a customer support, order management, and these are the various application. On the scientific side, that is, it is used for the simulation purposes. It is used in the advanced medical research for computing as well as for the storage purposes. While on a consumer, on simple application side, we all know when we talk about a, you can say, Twitter. Twitter, it looks like a, that is, we are simply sending a simple what, thousands or the crores of the tweets are being generated. So that becomes a big data. For those tweets to be stored, to be analyzed, we have to store it on the cloud computing. Along with that, Gmail, Facebook, Dropbox, and all the various kinds of the applications which are available on our mobile phones are being provided using the cloud computing. So starting this graph shows that in 2008, the graph which is being shown in a blood color, that is the basically on-premises IT-based solutions. On-premises means you have to purchase the computer and you have to utilize that. And only 4% in 2008, only 4% applications which were, you can say, off-site. Off-site means that is at a remote. Remote means here I'm talking about a remote service provider, that is a cloud service provider. In 2012, although you can see on the y-axis side, it was in a, you can say, very big amount of money, that is $500 billion. That was the business there. What in 2012, there is a rise to the 9% for the cloud application. In 2016, there was a rise to the 15%. 2018, in cloud application, rise was to the 30%. In 2020, the rise is up to the 50%. That is in 2020. Now we have a lot of applications based on the cloud computing, similar to a, and cloud-based applications are, you can say, becoming equivalent to the, you can say, outsource or in-house applications. Now this is the cloud architecture. Here we can say, as I said, that when I talk about a, you can say, cloud architecture, I'm saying that on the bottom side we have a infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure is the most important part of any cloud service provider. Infrastructure means whether it is a, you can say, CPU computing power, whether it is a RAM, whether it is a, you can say, storage, all those comes under the infrastructure. While the second part about the infrastructure is a platform. Platform, as its name implies, it gives an environment over which the user can develop the application, user can run the application. That is, it provides a platform on which the user can design and run the application. At the top level, various types of the applications, various types of the apps which we are using nowadays on the mobile phone, whether it is a call recorder, you can say Truecaller, all those are the various applications which are being provided using the cloud architecture. This is the, that is whatever we are saying, Truecaller, all these are the mobile or the cloud-based applications. So cloud computing is, in a fundamental way, it is a shared pool. Shared pool, we have a pool of configurable computing resources. Configurable, why I'm saying that is, computing resources are being combined in such a way such that it can be allocated to the different user based on the demand of the user. That is why it is termed as a, it is a on-demand network access. Then we are provisioning the services provided by the cloud service provider. So this is a network of users. They are accessing the servers. They are accessing the storage for their databases. They are accessing the application server for various application server. So the common cloud characteristics are that is, it is on a massive scale. That is, it is at a very, very large scale. It is a homogeneous kind of computing. That is, the virtual machines are available to the end user in a very effective and simpler way. It is not like that, whatever the environment you are using, it is a homogeneous. Then is the virtualization. Virtualization is a technology that it provides a platform over which on single physical machine, you can run any number of virtual machine depending upon the number of users and depending upon the, you can say, various hardware and software requirements of the user. So it is a low cost software solution. And one of the feature that is, it is a resilient computing, resilient computing. We say resilient computing means that any kind of the failure is being recovered by the cloud itself. It is geographically distributed, that is the servers are being distributed geographically throughout the world. Why I'm saying geographically distributed? I'll give you a very simple example. Let's assume I'm having my email account on a gmail.com. Generally, my Gmail servers are available in India. That's the reason. अगर आप देखोगे, that's why our generally accounts are sandeep@gmail.co.in. That is .co.in. That is a commercial domain having a servers available at India. Why we want to have a server? Let's assume if I move to the US, then automatically my email account will be shifted to the US server. What if I'm sitting at India and my Gmail account is being managed at US? So why unnecessarily I deal with the international traffic? That will slow down my Gmail account speed. That's the reason it is a geographical distributed, so that the users are being given the, you can say, computing power, storage power near to the location of the user. It is a service oriented. It also have a good or advanced, you can say, security features. So it is a on-demand self-service. It require a broad network access. It is having a resource pooling. The resources from the different sources are being pooled. Then it is providing a rapid elasticity. That is, resources are being provided to the end user depending upon the need. If it requires a more resources, then those resources are being allocated. If it does not require resources, then the resources are being freed up. It is a measured services. So when I talk about the cloud computing challenges, that is, we are dealing with too many issues in the cloud computing. That is, we have a, you can say, security. Security is one of the major concern in the cloud computing. Privacy, that is, you can say, whatever the data we are keeping, that is it a private or is it read or accessible to someone else, like that. अगर हम अपने, if we'll talk about a Gmail account, whatever the mails are being stored there, what if any employee or the administrator want to read, that can read. How much trust we can do on the cloud? What are the legal and regulatory authorities or regulations are there? Because one thing is very clear, cloud servers are being distributed throughout the world, divided up into the various zones. So there are the legal concerns because each country is having its own regulations and laws. Then is the virtualization. Virtualization is a concept. It is a platform where we can have a number of virtual machine installed on a single physical machine. Then the concept of the pricing, that how much we have to pay to utilize the cloud and how those meter are being provided, or how the cost is being calculated or the billing is being calculated. Then is the, as we are talking about a cloud, what the clouds are at a far place, how the quality of service is being maintained, is it applicable, that is service level, that is, it should not be like that when we require a service, then the speed of the cloud is not at a higher side. So we have a various kind of the, you can say, requirement. Then the provisioning on demand, as the resources will increase, the resources will be provisioned on demand. Then utility and risk management, that is how much is the utility, how much is the risk there on the shifting to the cloud. As we are talking about scalability, that is we can increase or decrease the resources depending upon the user requirement. Then we talk about the reliability, whether the cloud is reliable or it can be a failure at any time. Then is the energy efficiency, that is the how much power it is being utilized and it is not unnecessarily producing the heat. So there are you can say, is it providing a programming environment and application development environment, and then is it able to do or deal with the software engineering complexity? Oh, it's yet another complex, it looks like a yet another IT complex paradigm, but it's not like that. All those whatever things have been mentioned here, or the issues, those are being handled by the cloud service provider itself, and users are not aware of these terms, and user will generally get the services in an effective way. That is, end user has not to manage the resources, it is being automatically managed by the cloud service provider. So the cloud service provider, it is being divided up into the three types of the, you can say, services, cloud service model. Three types of the cloud service models are there. One is the infrastructure as a service. Second is the platform as a service. Third is the, you can say, uh, software as a service. As I already mentioned, infrastructure में बड़ा clear है that we provide the, you can say, storage, we provide the, you can say, CPU power, we provide the network capabilities, and on the infrastructure side, the major service providers are Amazon Web Service and the Rackspace. While platform as a service, it provides an environment on which the user works. So on the platform side, the major top service provider are, from the Google side, it is a Google App Engine, while from the Microsoft side, it is a Windows Azure. On the application side, where the cloud-based applications are being provided, Salesforce customer relation management comes at number one. If you check the website, you'll find corresponding to the Salesforce, we are having a lot of cloud-based applications. A very simple example nowadays with the schools, you are having an online, you can say, app where you can submit the fees, you can get the assignment for the schools. So all those are belong to a, you can say, simple app, and those are being customized according to the needs of the school. So Salesforce, Lotus Live, these are the various software as a service. So software as a service, as we mentioned, it elevates the burden of the software maintenance. The major advantage of this software as a service, that user has not to maintain the software. It has not to maintain when the upgrade will come for that particular software. User has not to maintain that its software has been failed due to one or another reason. User has not to worry about when a new version comes into the market. Automatically, those are being maintained by the cloud service provider. The another are platform and infrastructure as a service. So cloud storage comes under the infrastructure as a service. That is, we already see that the cloud storage comes as a infrastructure as a service. While Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, which is termed as a EC2, which comes under the infrastructure platform as a service. It is a PaaS, that is platform as a service, while the simple storage is a infrastructure as a service. These are the well-known examples. Example for, if you want to have a, you can say, storage, so we can have a storage that is in the gigabytes. That is, we can have a storage from the Amazon, which is termed as a Amazon simple storage service, and we have to pay very less amount, that is $20 per gigabyte. Even for the monthly, it is very less. For the, you can say, 1 terabyte and the 40,000 downloads per 1 month, it cost only the $20, which is not a higher side. So it was a Amazon simple storage service as a infrastructure as a service. While you can say Amazon EC2 is one large web service, which is a platform as a service. Amazon EC2 provides an API for initial computing instance, that it provides Amazon machine image. So you can say what we require. We in the elastic, you can say Amazon Elastic Compute, we can have a computing powers of the 100 plus PC power in a single virtual machine. We can have, as I mentioned in the beginning, that we can have a RAM of single virtual machine even up to the capacity of 3.75 terabyte. So you can understand we can have a petabyte of storage available on the storage or side. So this is EC2 is being, you can say, powered by the Zen. Zen is nothing. It is a various types of the hypervisor which are being used for the creation of the virtual machine. Para-virtualization is a concept where it can utilize the virtualization services in a effective manner. So then another kind of the basically in the EC2, you can say Elastic Compute Cloud, how it works. Basically, whatever the virtual machine is being created, that is being loaded in the simple storage services. Then user can directly run anything on the simple, that is user can run anything on that virtual machine, which is hosted on a simple storage services. And user can even connect to that virtual machine using a secure shell protocol. Secure shell is a modified or advanced version of the telnet, and then we can execute our application. Similar to the EC2 cloud, we have a Google App Engine. Google App Engine, as its name implies, Google is getting a popularity, and after the you can say Amazon or after the Microsoft Azure, Google is the third most, you can say, powerful cloud service provider. So it provides an interface, and it provides an interface for the development of the various Java and Python based applications. So it is a reliable, it provides the template, it provides the environment on which the user works. So when I talk about a software as a service, there are the different levels. Initially, we have a one physical machine on which three instances are being created. Each user have been given a fixed resources, while in the second case, each user has been given the equivalent resources, while at the third level, there will be single instance that is being utilized by the three tenants or the three users. While in the fourth level, the number of instances, number of users are equal, but any tenant can utilize any instance, and that is being decided by the load balancer to utilize the resources very effectively. We have a cloud deployment model. As we talk about a, you can say, service model, three service model were there. That is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or the software as a service. So now we are talking about a cloud deployment model. There are the four cloud deployment models. One is the, you can say, private cloud. Private cloud means it manages its own data center. Nobody can access that. The or people belonging to that or user belonging to that organization can access that, you can say, private cloud. While the public cloud is available to anyone, but security is issue in the public cloud. While the hybrid cloud is a combination that whatever the private resources are available, those will be utilized. If it is not available, then we'll go for the public cloud resources. Community cloud means this is a cloud service provider which is being used by the like-minded organization. Example, for the various banks, ATMs are being interconnected with each other. That comes under the community cloud, that is termed as a like-minded organization. So when I talk about the different cloud computing layers, so you can say on the storage side, we have a Amazon Simple Storage Services. Dell also provide, Apple also provided storage. Then Apple, as I mentioned, that it is having a, you can say, iCloud from the Apple. On the server platform side, it is the 3 tera. On the you can say Amazon side, it's a Elastic Compute 2. Then we have a GoGrid, right scale. On the application side, we have a, you can say, Google App Engine, Moco, Force.com, Facebook, Amazon Web Services. On the software as a service, we have a IBM, we have a Google Apps, we have a Salesforce, we have a Zoho, we have a Cisco. So really, we divide up into the two parts. One is the infrastructure focus, second is the application focus. So infrastructure focus, we have a hosting that is being provided by the different cloud service provider, IBM, HP, Navy side. On the storage side, we have a network attached storage. It is being provided by the iDisk, Citra. Then we have a various platform. The various platforms are cloud-based platform, typically provided. You can say cloud-based platform typically provided using virtualizations such as Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, Sun Grid kind of application. Then we have a development. On the development side, we have a software development platform used to build customer cloud-based applications. Then we have a applications, then we have a various kind of the services. This is a, you can say, market-oriented cloud architecture, where here on the top, we have a number of users shown in the red color of this. These users request for the services from the cloud. So based on the service level agreement is the agreement between the end user and cloud service provider to provide the services at a minimum speed, at a minimum, you can say, comfort level, and at a minimum, you can say, below that the speed cannot go. Example for service level agreement means like that if I'll get a mobile internet connectivity 4G, that is, if any cloud service provider will not provide a 4G connectivity on the average basis to the end user, the Telephone Regulatory Authority of India will find that organization if they are cheating the people. So that is termed as a service level agreement. Let's assume if I'm having my mobile phone for the 4G internet connectivity, and due to certain network restriction, I'm getting a 3G at one place, then that will be compensated to me at another place by giving a connectivity at the 5G or 4.5G, so that overall on the monthly basis, my speed comes out to be the 4G speed, you can say, sponsored by the 4G network, whatever it may be, that is the 100 Mbps or the 10 Mbps. So here the user will request to the, you can say, cloud service provider based on the service level agreement. Here, this is the cloud resources. For this number of users, these resources are being allocated, or these resources. What as the number of user increases? As the number of user increases, now the cloud has increased also. Cloud has taken the resources from another cloud. That is, now it is a multi-cloud, and this multi-cloud is providing the resources. That means cloud can even hire the resources from the another cloud to satisfy the request of the end user. Then that is the characteristics, that is no need to know. User has not to need to know the underlying details of the infrastructure. User just has to interact with the cloud through the application programming interface. The flexibility and elasticity allow the user to scale up the resources or scale down. Resources mean CPU computing power, RAM, storage according to the user need. Moreover, it is always on, anywhere, at any place type of network computing. Cloud are transparent to the, you can say, users and the applications. In general, they are built on the clusters of PC servers and off-the-shelf component plus open source softwares. So two technologies for the agility are there. That is a cloud computing. Cloud computing means the provisioning of services in a timely manner, on-demand manner, to allow the scaling up or down of the resources to the end user. While the second kind of technology is the virtualization. Virtualization means the ability to run multiple operating systems. This is a very important definition. The ability to run multiple operating systems on a single physical system and share the underlying hardware resources. So virtualization means it is an abstraction of the execution environment that can be made dynamically available to the authorized clients by using a well-defined protocol. Resources mean CPU, memory. Here we can see this is the, you can say, hardware. This is the hypervisor which will do the virtualization. And here we have a 3 virtual machine. Each virtual machine is having a different operating system, and all virtual machines are executing the different app. Hypervisors are, you can say, we can have a VMware, Zen. These are the different hypervisors available. So this is the, you can say, virtual machine technology allows the multiple virtual machine to run on a single physical machine. This is a single physical machine. This is a single physical machine on which we have a virtual machine monitor, which is also termed as a hypervisor. So here we can see we have two types of hypervisor. One is a hypervisor 1, another is a hypervisor 2. Hypervisor 1 means where we can directly host the application on the hardware, while the hypervisor 2 means we will host the application above on the operating system. There are the different hypervisors: Gen, VMware, UML, Denali, and above the hypervisor, we can have any number of virtual machines depending upon the requirement. So logically, we can say, though we have a single computer, but technically we divided the single computer's computing power into the 3 computers computing power. So cloud computing enables companies and applications which are system infrastructure dependent to the infrastructure less. I mean to say, see how the cloud computing assists us. Let's assume I opened a, you can say, call center at Delhi. I'm having a one of the, you can say, Samsung as my client. Now I'm having another client where I require a, you can say, 400 people at the call center to attend the call of the customers. So I require a 400 computers. What? Let's assume next year the Samsung will not offer a contract to me. All of my infrastructure got wasted, which is highly expensive. That is 400. What? If it is a cloud based, then I can hire the employee. I can ask them. You can log in from your mobile phone, and you can connect directly to the client. Infrastructure processing capabilities all are being provided by the cloud. If I'll not get a contract next year from the Samsung, no resources being wasted. So that is what I'm saying. Cloud computing is an infrastructure-less service where you will be pay only the service you will utilize, and you will not have to spend money in the capital and operational investment for your business. So moreover, you can put your data on the platform instead of your personal desktop. That will make the computing more effective, because personal computer can get corrupted at any time. Since I said that cloud is a resilient kind of computing, that if you can say if the server fails, it is a responsibility of the cloud to recover itself, to recover the data. So why the cloud computing is becoming a big deal? Because using a high scale, it is providing the computing power even of the, you can say, supercomputer. If it is required for 1 hour, it is being provided, and you have to pay minimum for that. You can access it from any place using the web browsers. You can increase or decrease the resources. So concern is regarding the since when it becomes at a large scale, will the performance will be affected, the reliability, service level agreement, and control of data, because we always know that our data is being there on the cloud, whether that data will be, you can say, safe or not. You can say various kinds of the application features, and there is no standard API. That is, it is using the various kind of the application, that is service oriented application protocol, or the you can say representation state libraries, where we are assessing the cloud services, security, privacy, you can say. What if I'll go to the, this slide shows a very, you can say, a lot of application of the cloud computing. That is, on the infrastructure side, we have a Amazon, Citra, we have a lot of cloud. On the compute side, we have a Amazon EC2, we have a joystick, we have a, you can say, lot of application. Service management side, we have a lot of application. While on a cloud software side, on a database side, we have a various. Remember one thing, in cloud, when we talk about a unstructured kind of data, we talk about the NoSQL databases. NoSQL databases means, because when we talk about a SQL databases, we divide the data into the rows and column. But when we talk about an internet kind of data, this is audio data, video data. It cannot be divided up into the rows and column. To deal with such unstructured kind of the data, which is audio, video, we require a different kind of, you can say, database management system. So for such kind of NoSQL databases are being provided by the cloud service provider. Like that, we have a MongoDB, we have a CushDB, we have a, you can say, Google-based big table. And we have so many types of the NoSQL databases are there. Then it provides a file storage management, it provides a cloud management software. Then on a platform service provide, it provides an environment on which we can design the various applications. Similarly, on the business intelligence side, it is showing a lot number of application, integration side, development and testing side. Then on the software service side, we will see here we have a lot of billing, financial, legal, sales, backup, customer relation management. So many applications are there. The use of cloud provides a number of opportunities. It enables the services to be used without any understanding of the infrastructure. That is, we have not to, you can say, we have not to undergo the complexity, or we have not to understand the complexity of the infrastructure. Cloud computing works using economies of scale. Data and services are stored remotely, what accessible from anywhere. In parallel, there have been a backlash against the cloud computing. That is, when we are talking about the merit of the cloud computing, again, there were certain criticism. That is, use of cloud computing means dependent on others, and that could possibly limit flexibility and innovations. The others are like the bigger internet companies, that is the, as I said, Google Cloud Compute, IBM Watson, or we are having a Amazon, we having a Microsoft Azure, which will monopolize the market. That is, even at presently we are having 3 or 4, you can say, major cloud service provider. They will monopolize the market. Some argue that supercomputer is the return. That is one thing is sure. Supercomputer, we have to invest a crores of the rupees. But here the supercomputing power we can get in the hundreds of the dollar. That is a major advantage. Security could be proved to be a big issue, because even if we are dealing with the, you can say, data related to our defense services, or regarding the integrity of our country, if that data is being stored somewhere else and that data can be accessed by, you can say, our enemies, then that will become another issue. There are issues related to the policy and access of data. That is, on the advantages of cloud computing, that is, it is having a lower computational cost. You do not need a higher powered and high priced computer to run your application. You are being provided the virtual machine at a lower cost. And moreover, you will have a simple smartphone which do not require a higher processing capabilities, do not require a high RAM, but instead, now the concept is of the mobile computing, where application interface will run on our mobile phone, what all the resources are being, whether it's a RAM processing capabilities, that is being utilized from the remote server side. So even we do not require CD, DVD, all the things are being loaded from the, you can say, cloud. So it improved the performance with very few large program, and to a very, you can say, reduced software cost. We all know that when we go for any purchase of any software, that is quite costly and we cannot purchase it. That's why we use the pirated software. That's why we cannot utilize the, you can say, full efficiency of the software. What, when we are going for the cloud computing, the various softwares are being provided on a pay as per use basis, which is a quite less cost. Even you can use any paid software, Photoshop, you can say, or any kind of the software, you can say, Oracle, at a very, you can say, reduced cost. With the, nowadays we have seen that as we are using online platform for the teaching or like that, since I am also serving as a director computer center, so in our university we have installed a account on the G Suite, on which we have configured the email of all the employees on our university domain, but still managed by the Google. That is, example, for my name is Sandeep Sood, Sandeep Sood at the rate of hpcu.ac.in. That is, emails are being created on a Google Suite on the specific domain of our university website. Similarly, Google, you can say, Google Meet is free of cost, available to all the end user for taking the classes, lectures. So we have not to spend the money. So on the Indian side, a lot of, you can say, softwares are available on the Google free of cost. Like that, as I said, Gmail is free of cost, Google Drive, Dropbox, G Suite, Google Meet, all these are the free software. The another advantage is the instant software updates. Like that, if the new software update will come, if I'm running anything on a cloud, automatically that is being updated on a cloud. And as I said, it does not require any cost, because we have to pay very minimally whatever the use. So you can access a web-based application using the latest version. Moreover, we have improved document format compatibility. Generally, what happens if I'm using a MS Word of one computer, if I shift to another computer, the formatting changes. What if we'll shift to the cloud? Such kind of issues will not be arise. We have a unlimited storage capacity. We have at presently we have a 1 terabyte of hard disk. But on the other side, I am saying we can have a virtual machine of 3 terabyte of 3.75 terabyte of RAM. So we have a lot of, you can say, storage capacity on the cloud side. Even we can have a storage capacity of any virtual machine in the petabytes. Increased data reliability. Like desktop computing, if the hard disk crashes, all of our data will get lost. What in the cloud computing, it's not like that. The redundancy of data is there. The data is being recovered using the different data recovery mechanisms. So universal document access, you can go to any place and you can access that document from any place at any time. Latest versions of the softwares are available free of cost, and you have to pay very minimum for that. Easier group collaboration. Generally, what I do whenever my PhD students are working, I create a, you can say, shared folder. I ask them to edit that whenever they are writing the paper, so that keep me updated when they are changing the thing. So group collaboration is, and even the same file can be accessed using the Google Drive or the Dropbox by the 10 people. Each can see what the other has changed there. Multiple user can collaborate easily. Moreover, it is a device independent. That is, you can access the cloud services independent of your device. If you are using your office computer, even then it is not a issue. On the disadvantage of the cloud computing side, we require a good internet connection, because cloud computing is impossible if you will not have a good internet speed. You use the internet to connect your application and document. So a dead internet connection means you cannot do anything. Does not work well with slow speed connections. Features might be limited, though it looks like in the cloud computing applications will have a, you can say, limited features, because we know simple MS Word, MS PowerPoint is having more feature than the Google web-based presentation. But now the things are changing. Even the features on the cloud softwares are equally good. The cloud computing can be slow if it is the, you can say, connection is not fast enough. The stored data might not be secure. That is, wherever you have stored the data, you are not sure whether your data is being you can been divulged to the someone else. Stored data can be lost. It is you can say not clear that you can run the, you can say, message passing interface, or you can run the complex application. But still, it is a general concern. What still, all those are the concerns, and these are the various research issues in the cloud computing. That is, security is one of the major concern, because the people are afraid about the security of their data. Then performance keeps the another parameter, where the people are worried about the performance of the cloud computing when it increases to a large scale. Availability of services is also there. Hard to integrate with in-house IT solution means whatever the various application IT solutions are existing, whether it is possible to integrate those solutions with the cloud computing. Not enough ability to customize the things. Buried on demand will cost more. The people worried about that, although it looks like that cost will be less, what they are saying, that on demand the cost will be on a higher side. That is, bringing back in house may be difficult. That is, once you shift it to cloud and you're not satisfied with the cloud, even it will be difficult to get back to the simple in-house type of the. Then regulatory requirement prohibits the implementation of the cloud. Moreover, enough cloud service providers are not there. As I said, that there are only 3 or 4 good cloud service providers. Moreover, our data get logged in onto the cloud service provider, and they can misutilize it. Data auditability is there. The data performance bottleneck is there. Scalable storage, reputation feed sharing. Reputation feed sharing means if one user do any unexpected activity, so the reputation of other user also spoils on the cloud. Software licensing will also change. Data location, where our data is being stored, we are not sure. If you are not aware that where the data corresponding to your Gmail account or your Google Drive is being, you can say, stored, we are not sure about how the metering and billing will work. So many of the activities loosely grouped together under the cloud computing have already been happening, and centralized computing activity is a new phenomena. Grid computing was the latest before the cloud computing, but the cloud computing has mainstream adoption and the user has adopted it. So many open source system appearing that can install and run on the. So conclusion is that cloud computing is a new phenomena which is set to revolutionize the way we can use the internet. However, one must be very careful to understand the limitation and security risk posed by the utilizing this technology. So thank you. Thanks a lot.